Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News.
It's that time of the morning when we review all of the headlines making the front pages of newspapers from around the world. And to help us do that, we're joined right now by Arise News analyst, Emmanuel Efeni. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning, Ruben.
Thanks for joining us.
Good to be back.
Good. Yeah.
You had a rainbow, which
yes,
the politician, Doyo Kukwe, he said it's not an oracle.
He is an oracle.
No, he didn't say an oracle. He says the oracle.
The oracle. Okay, correction. The oracle.
It was a definite article that he used.
Okay. We'll be consulting that oracle more frequently as we head to 2019.
Yes.
Yes, let's look at this day. Let's start with this day newspapers.
Okay.
Buhari rule of law must be subjected to supremacy of national security interest. We talked about this a lot earlier on, but I'm particularly interested in the story below. PDP asks President to sign Electoral Act Amendment Bill. Presidency, he will act within the Constitution. I don't know why the delay, because the other day when this day exclusively reported that the president had refused to sign the bill, they came up with the clarification that he only refused to sign a second bill and that a third bill was waiting for him, was on his table, and that he would sign as soon as he returned from his well-deserved vacation. But now there seems to be no hurry for the president to sign.
Well, I mean, the thing to worry about is the government's commitment to having a successful electoral process in 2019. And INEC itself had said that, you know, further delays could have implications for its capacity to be able to deliver a hitch-free election. And I think that the presidency should be mindful of that. Yes, the president can veto the National Assembly when it comes to legislation. But the function of lawmaking is primarily that of the legislature. So if he vetoes them, either line-by-line veto or absolute veto, although he doesn't have absolute powers of veto, in the within the purview of sections 58 and 59 of the Nigerian 1999 Constitution, the National Assembly could, in the long run, decide to override the president's veto. But it will need two-thirds majority to be able to do that. And with the kind of conflict, the kind of infighting, the kind of division that you have in the National Assembly, it's difficult to see how, you know, anyone could mobilize two-thirds majority to override the president's veto. And that's where the real problem is, because election is a matter of law. So good reason should prevail.
Well, if they fail to sign the bill into law, then the old law will subsist. It's as simple as that. Nothing will really upset the process. It's just that we stick to the law that we have.
Well, there are certain line-by-line issues that are critical for the next election, you know, which is in the interest of, you know, those who will organize that election to see that, you know,
at least INEC should know what is and what is not, so that they know how to plan the election. Now, let's look at the Punch newspaper. Wike lock horns with EFCC over fresh probe into Rivers finances. Anti-graft agency alleges 117 billion curious withdrawals by state government. No Rivers official will appear before EFCC. Governor vows. We have similar story in the front page of the Nation newspaper. Rivers government kicks as EFCC probe 117 billion transactions.
Well, I mean, the EFCC can investigate. The governor's immunity does not extend to being investigated. You know, as long as this is within the scope of reference, the mandate of the EFCC, it can investigate the governor. They can ask questions about transactions. But of course, the governor enjoys immunity from prosecution while he's still there. So I don't see how the governor can say the EFCC cannot investigate, as long as it is an investigation.
They smell a rat, and it's
not an attempt. And it's not an attempt to shut down to freeze the accounts of the state government.
That may follow.
And as long as this is not a witch hunt, because the major complaint has been, you know, cases, allegations of political witch hunt, you know, by the
especially by those seen as a serious opponent of the current administration at the center. Yeah. Yes, Vanguard newspaper, 2019, APC power blocks in supremacy battle. Party stalwarts in struggle over use of direct, indirect primary election. Lagos or Abuja as choice of venue at issue. The direct primaries, which...
I thought that had been resolved. The party had resolved that it should do direct primaries.
Yes, but there are those who feel that there are some godfathers who will use that because they've already cornered the party register and they are likely to have their way in terms of who gets what.
Well, what we should keep telling these political parties, be it the APC or any other political party, is that internal democracy is important. Yes. And there should be the freeness, the fairness, the transparency, the credibility that we talk about. It's not just in the general public elections. It's also, these values are also important at the level of the political parties. Yes. And INEC has an oversight function over how these political parties organize their own internal affairs. So we call for greater vigilance on the part of INEC and to ensure that, you know, godfathers do not continue to dominate and hijack processes at the party level. Because what then happens is that these infractions at the party level are then transported, you know, to the governance arena. And we then have the kind of contradictions that we've been having. We
have situations where some godfathers sit down in their live sitting room
and just write a list.
Yeah. And that is it. So INEC must be vigilant. That I agree with you totally there. Daily Trust, federal projects, Senate approval of 488.7 billion for states raises dust. The Senate, the senators before proceeding on their annual vacation in July, approved the money for 21 states through a promissory note program requested by President Muhammadu Buhari. Will they go on with that or not? But right now, it's raising some dust.
Well, it's not just even about giving money out. It's about what the governors do with the money.
With the money, where it's going.
Accountability, good governance. And, you know, we listen to Mr. Peter Obi, former governor of Anambra State, saying, look, what he sees, you know, is not impressive at all because most of the governors are not doing very well. And he cited the example of at least one governor, one young governor, and two other young governors, you know, who do not seem to know their left from their right.
Well, perhaps they should take lesson from the Peter Obi School of Governance.
You are the one creating that.
No, there should be something like that because Peter Obi seemed to be so vast and he seemed to have done well, clearly.
Yes.
Clearly. Let's go to the star of South Africa. Okay. New dawn for Zimbabwe. New president to United Nations. Emmerson Mnangagwa has taken over, has been sworn in as president. Yeah. Now he is his own man, not from the Mugabe era. Yeah. First, he has to unite the nation, and he has pledged to do that. Then he will face the economic challenge before the Zimbabwean nation, because that is where the people will feel the change that has taken place.
Well, I don't think it's quite as easy as that. I mean, he gave an inspiring speech in which he talked about a new Zimbabwe. He promised to transform Zimbabwe. He talked about a shared Zimbabwe. I mean, I'm quoting him directly now, using his own phrases. And he talked about zero tolerance for corruption. He has also, in a tweet, called on the opposition, particularly his rival, Nelson Chamisa, to come and let them work together. But what I find disturbing here is that Nelson Chamisa didn't take up that, you know, gesture of friendship, you know, that olive branch that the president offered. Okay. He is still saying that, well, he disagrees with the ruling of the Constitutional Court and that in the People's Court, he considers himself the winner of the election and 50% of the electorate are behind him, even if he got 44.6% to 44.4% to Managua's 50.6%. I think that, you know, both SADC and the African Union still have a job to do in that country. They should intervene, invite the two parties to the table, and appeal to them to ensure that, you know, the interest of the people of Zimbabwe prevails. Because Nelson Chamisa, when I read his statement, it was sounding like, you know, he was still going to call out the people, although he says he's going to appeal to the African Court on People and Human Rights. I think the judgment of the court should be respected, and Zimbabwe should be allowed to move on. But of course, President Mnangagwa himself should play the role of a father figure and continue to reach out to the opposition.
Yeah, but you need a vibrant opposition, because to just go and work with the ruling party may also somehow.
No, it doesn't mean it doesn't mean that President Mnangagwa was not inviting Chamisa into his government, but he's saying that they should work together in the interest of the country. And we saw that kind of situation in Kenya. You know, when President Kenyatta invited his opponent, Raila Odinga, and they had this big ceremony, and they sent a strong message across to the Kenyan people that, look, elections are over, it is time to move forward as brothers. Yes. You know, and that was a very moving, special moment in African politics. And I think that the guys in Zimbabwe should emulate the Kenyans with what they have done.
Okay. All right. The Guardian UK. Pope begs for forgiveness after decades of abuse and cover-up. That moving speech by the Pope during his visit to Ireland. Of course, the headlines were about abuses, cover-ups, and all that. So the apology came at a good time, if you ask me, but other bishops are still saying, some bishops are still saying, that he should resign.
One bishop in particular, Bishop Igano.
Yes, who has taken time to detail his allegation in an 11-page document. But that is the Catholic politics, if you want to ask me. We'll continue to hear about that.
Yeah, we discussed that earlier on this program.
Then the Daily Telegraph. Well, this will not be useful to you.
Why not?
Holy Grail pill beats middle-age spread. Breakthrough drug that directly targets middle-age spread could help millions of overweight Britons lose weight. It doesn't concern you.
Oh, wow. Why not? Women also have a middle-age crisis, midlife crisis.
But she has no weight to lose.
Oh, really? That's what you
you're just fine.
Okay. No, don't describe her body, please. Leave that out. Let's stay with the news.
And of course, that's Daily Telegraph. Daily Mail also has the same story. Slimming pill proven to beat middle-age spread. But the most significant thing about this drug, Lucasarine, is that it brings down the weight 5 times more than diet and exercise can do.
Oh, wow.
And it also helps fight diabetes.
I like that.
Medical breakthrough, 12,000.
What's the drug called?
Lucasarine. Don't go and look for it.
I am looking for it.
Then Financial Times.
Well, only on doctor's recommendation.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't engage in self-medication.
Yes.
All right, so I think we have to wrap up this segment.
Okay, let's wrap up with Financial Times. Uber gears up for shift from cars to bikes on short trips. But some Nigerians have already beaten Uber to this, because right now in Lagos, you have Gokada.
Yes.
You just from your...
What's the Gokada? It's the one that you order the bike.
Yes, correct? The bike, and take it to anywhere around Lagos, as well as Max Engine. So Uber is going that way because they believe there's a market there. There's a market there. Especially for short trips.
Very good.
Yes, individual transport.
Well, I hope the people who take those motorcycles will wear helmets.
Proper helmet.
Protective helmets.
Yes. I wonder what the helmet will look like. I don't think that I would wear a helmet on a Gokada. I'll buy my own helmet, I think.
Well, but I mean, it's just to protect yourself.
They give you helmet, they give you a cover for your hair.
Oh, so they keep changing the cover for the hair?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, Emmanuel, you've been taking Okada.
In Lagos, you have to try sometimes when everywhere's jammed, especially if you know something about Apapa and the traffic.
All right. Well, thank you so so much, Emmanuel, for joining us on this segment. It's time now for a short break on the morning show. When we return, Victoria Peppel will be filling us with a review of what's trending. Stay with us.